Clara, are you trying to kill my child? Arthur Vance's voice thundered across the bustling riverside patio, sharp enough to cut through the clinking of glasses and murmurs of the dinner crowd. His face was pale but twisted in fury, eyes burning with suspicion as he stared down at Clara Evans, the 9-year-old black waitress who had just pulled 2 frantic children from the river's edge. Clara's heart hammered fiercely in her chest. She had risked everything, her safety, her dignity to save Arthur's twin sons, Leo and Owen. Yet here he was, accusing her as if she were the villain, as if her courage was some calculated act of malice. I saved them, Clara stammered, her voice trembling. They slipped. I pulled them out before anything worse happened. Arthur took a step forward, his hand suddenly shoving her back. Clara stumbled dangerously close to the riverbank's edge, her breath catching as the water lapped mere inches away. You think this was an accident? He spat, venom dripping from every word. I know your kind, always scheming, looking for a payout, a quick settlement for some so-called accident you caused. You're nothing but a low-class, good-for-nothing typical black trash trying to scam me. Clara's eyes widened in shock, pain burning behind them. The crowd around them murmured uneasily, some averting their eyes, others frozen in disbelief. Arthur, please. A voice tried to intervene, but he raised a hand, silencing them. You'll regret this, Arthur growled, voice low but full of menace. I'll see you in court for attempted murder if that's what it takes. If you feel connected to Clara's story, please like this video and comment where you are watching from. You might find others nearby watching too. Clara shook her head, tears threatening to spill. I don't want trouble. Look at the cameras. She reached for her phone and pulled up the footage from the restaurant's security system, the screen showing the boys' playful antics before the slip and her desperate rescue. Arthur's face twisted into a sneer as he waved the phone away. Don't waste my time with that trash, he spat. This is just a waste of my day, watching a dirty little servant's story. Then, without warning, he raised his hand as if to strike Clara again. But before his hand came down, 2 small voices interrupted him, weak but determined. Daddy, stop! Leo's voice cracked. Clara didn't try to hurt us, she saved us. Yeah, Daddy, Owen added, his eyes wide and earnest. She pulled us out of the water when we fell. We're okay because of Clara. Ugh! Arthur's raised hand froze mid-air. His eyes darted between his sons and Clara, the anger draining from his face. A deep shame settled in as the truth became undeniable. He lowered his hand slowly, stepping back. Just as he was about to speak, Leo's voice caught his attention again. Wait, Daddy, Leo said, looking up at him. We almost fell because the wind blew our napkin near the river. Clara was watching us, and she acted fast. Arthur furrowed his brow. Is that true? He asked quietly. Owen nodded. Yes, Daddy. She saved us because she cared. The crowd around them began to murmur, the tension breaking as people realized the truth. Arthur looked at Clara, voice softening, strained with remorse. Clara, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things or acted like that. A few people nearby clapped softly, some nodding in admiration. One elderly woman whispered, She's a true hero. Clara blinked, still shaken but silently accepting the apology. The river's breeze whispered softly, carrying away the rage and leaving behind a fragile hope. A hope that justice might come not just from power and wealth, but from truth and courage. The crowd began to disperse slowly, the tension easing as the reality of the moment settled in. Clara stood quietly by the riverbank, her breath still ragged from the struggle, her skin slick with sweat and river water. Her hands trembled slightly, though her face held a calm that belied the storm of emotions inside her. Around her, whispers of admiration floated through the air, mixing with the soft rustle of leaves and the gentle lap of the river against the stones. She glanced toward the twins, Leo and Owen, who were now sitting wrapped in warm blankets, their faces flushed from the cold, but eyes bright with life. They clung to each other, a picture of innocence recovered from the brink of disaster. Clara's gaze softened as she watched them, feeling an unexpected surge of protectiveness that went beyond the boundaries of her role as a waitress. As the last of the guests resumed their seats, Arthur Vance lingered nearby, a complex expression shadowing his features. His earlier fury had given way to a visible fatigue, a man grappling with guilt and the fragile humanity beneath the armor of wealth and power. He approached Clara cautiously, his steps hesitant but deliberate. "Clara," he began, voice low and unsteady. "I owe you more than words can express. You saved my sons. I was wrong to accuse you." Clara met his eyes, searching for sincerity in the depths of his gaze. "I did what anyone would do, Mr. Vance," she replied quietly. "I just wanted to keep them safe." Arthur nodded, then gestured toward the restaurant. "Please come inside. Let me make sure you're all right. You must be exhausted." Reluctantly, Clara allowed herself to be led back into the waterfront grill, where the warmth of the interior contrasted sharply with the chill lingering on her skin. The soft hum of conversation resumed around them, but Clara felt the weight of every glance, some filled with respect, others tinged with disbelief at the unlikely heroine in their midst. Seated at a quiet corner table, Arthur offered Clara a glass of water, his fingers briefly brushing against hers, a tentative gesture of gratitude. For a moment, the vast gulf between their worlds seemed to narrow. As Clara sipped the water, she found herself reflecting on the events of the day. Her thoughts drifted back to her childhood in a small neighborhood miles from this riverside haven, the sacrifices her mother had made, the long hours spent juggling multiple jobs, and the unyielding determination to give Clara and her brother a chance at something better. It was a past filled with struggle, but also with lessons of resilience and dignity. "Tell me about your family," Arthur said gently, breaking the silence. Clara smiled faintly. "My mother and brother live a few blocks from where I grew up. My mother's a nurse, and my brother's finishing high school. They're my world." Arthur listened intently, a genuine curiosity in his eyes. "You carry a lot on your shoulders, Clara. It's clear you're a strong woman," she shrugged modestly. "Strength comes from necessity. I don't have the luxury of choosing when to be brave." Their conversation was interrupted by the soft footsteps of the restaurant manager, who approached with a clipboard and an apologetic smile. "Mr. Vance, the media has caught wind of what happened," he said quietly. "Reporters are calling, and the video has gone viral. People are calling Clara a hero." Arthur sighed, the weight of the day pressing down on him once more. "I see," he murmured. "It's a lot to take in." Clara glanced toward the entrance, aware of the storm her newfound fame might bring. "I didn't do it for attention," she said firmly. "I just did what was right," Arthur nodded slowly. "And sometimes, that's the most difficult thing to do." As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the river, Clara's thoughts turned to the future. She knew her life had changed irrevocably. Doors that had once been closed might now be ajar, but with change came uncertainty, and she wasn't sure she was ready for the spotlight. "Will you be okay?" Arthur asked gently, breaking into her reverie. Clara met his gaze, a mixture of determination and vulnerability shining through. "I have to be," she replied, "for my family, for those boys, and for myself." Outside, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the quiet transformation taking place within its bounds. A woman who had once been invisible now stood at the center of a story that would ripple far beyond the river's edge as Arthur and Clara parted ways, later that evening. There was an unspoken understanding between them, one forged not by wealth or status, but by the raw, undeniable power of compassion and courage. Clara walked home beneath the fading light, the river's steady flow a reminder that life, much like the water, moves forward sometimes turbulent, sometimes calm, but always relentless. And so would she. In the days that followed, Clara returned to her routine at the waterfront grill. Her presence now met with nods of respect and quiet smiles from both colleagues and patrons. The video continued to circulate, sparking conversations about bravery, race, and the often unseen struggles of those who serve. One afternoon, as she wiped down a table, a middle-aged man approached, offering a simple but heartfelt thanks. "You saved more than just those boys that day," he said. "You reminded us all of what it means to care." Clara smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. It wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about standing up when it mattered most. And she knew, deep down, that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with the same quiet strength that had saved 2 little boys from the river's cold grasp. The morning after the rescue, Clara awoke before the sun had fully risen. The soft hum of the city was still distant, and the quiet in her small apartment felt heavy with the weight of what had happened. She sat at the edge of her bed, hands clasped tightly together, replaying the events of the previous day in her mind. The fear, the adrenaline, the harsh words from Arthur Vance, they all mingled together in a knot of emotions that was difficult to unravel. Despite everything, a quiet resolve was growing within her. She had done what was right, that much was clear, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger story. Clara's phone buzzed on the nightstand, jolting her from her thoughts. A message from her mother. "Saw the news? Proud of you, baby. Stay strong." Clara smiled softly, letting the warmth of her mother's words steady her nerves. She prepared for work, her movements methodical as she dressed in the familiar uniform of the waterfront grill. Today, the restaurant would be packed with patrons eager to catch a glimpse of the woman who had become a local hero overnight. Walking through the door, Clara was met with a mixture of reactions. Some customers whispered her name with admiration, others stared in disbelief. Her co-workers approached cautiously, their usual banter replaced by hushed congratulations. The restaurant manager, Mr. Clark, pulled her aside. "Clara, the media is here. They want interviews. There's a team waiting to talk to you." Clara shook her head firmly. "No interviews. I'm just a waitress doing my job." Mr. Clark nodded, respecting her wishes but clearly concerned about the attention. As the day wore on, Clara kept busy, focusing on her tasks to keep her mind from wandering too deeply into the whirlwind surrounding her. But it was impossible to ignore the conversations around her, the debates about courage, race, and privilege that the rescue had sparked. At one table, an older couple spoke in hushed tones. "It's rare to see such bravery these days," the woman said, especially from someone in her position. Her husband nodded. "She's a reminder that true strength isn't about money or status." Clara caught snippets of conversations like this throughout the evening. Each one was a small reassurance that perhaps, through her actions, she had started a conversation that needed to be had. Later, during a quiet moment, Arthur Vance approached the bar. His face was less stern than the day before, softened by genuine respect. "Clara," he began, "I wanted to thank you again for your bravery and for reminding me of what truly matters." Clara met his gaze steadily. "Thank you, Mr. Vance. But I hope this isn't just about gratitude. I hope it's about change." Arthur sighed, the weight of his responsibilities evident. "It is, and I intend to do better." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the local news crew, but Clara gently declined once more, preferring to stay out of the spotlight. That evening, as Clara walked home along the riverbank, the city lights reflected softly on the water's surface. She felt a mix of exhaustion and hope. Her life was shifting in ways she couldn't yet predict, but she knew one thing: she would continue to stand up for what was right, no matter the cost. Back in her apartment, Clara sat by the window, watching the stars flicker above the skyline. She thought about her family, about the twins she had saved, and about the journey ahead. The path wouldn't be easy, but with each step, she was writing her own story, one of courage, resilience, and the quiet power of compassion. As sleep finally claimed her, Clara felt a deep sense of peace. She had faced the storm and emerged stronger. Tomorrow was uncertain, but she was ready. The following days at the waterfront grill unfolded with a new rhythm, one charged with quiet tension and unexpected recognition. Clara moved through the restaurant like she always had, attentive to her duties. Yet the world around her had shifted. Patrons who once barely noticed her presence now offered nods of respect or whispered words of gratitude. Some colleagues, too, treated her with a newfound reverence, though a few cast furtive glances tinged with envy or disbelief. Clara kept her head down, refusing to let the sudden attention disrupt her focus. The rescue had thrust her into an uncomfortable spotlight. And though many called her a hero, she remained wary of what that label might bring. One afternoon, as she refilled glasses at a table near the window, a familiar voice called out, "Clara, can we talk for a moment?" She turned to see Arthur Vance approaching, his expression softened by time and reflection. He looked less like the austere businessman from days before, and more like a man humbled by his own failings. "Of course, Mr. Vance," Clara replied, setting down the tray carefully. He gestured toward a quiet corner of the restaurant where they could speak without interruption. Once seated, he cleared his throat. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened," he began, "about my reaction. It was unfair, and I regret letting my fears and prejudices speak for me." Clara met his gaze steadily. "It was a difficult moment for all of us," she said softly. "I understand that," Arthur nodded. "But understanding isn't enough. I want to do more for my sons, for you, and for everyone who feels overlooked or undervalued." She raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind?" "I'm proposing a community initiative," he said, leaning forward. "A scholarship fund for young people from neighborhoods like yours, those with the drive but not the resources." Clara felt a flicker of hope. That's a powerful gesture. Arthur smiled faintly. "It's a start, but I want your input. I want this to be more than just money. It should be about mentorship, opportunity, and breaking down barriers." The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. And for the first time, Clara saw beyond the surface of wealth and power to the man trying to make amends. As their conversation continued, Clara shared stories of her community, the challenges, the aspirations, the unspoken dreams of people who, like her, fought daily for dignity and a chance to succeed. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, Clara's co-workers whispered among themselves. Some expressed genuine admiration, others skepticism. It was a microcosm of the larger world, a place where progress and prejudice coexisted uneasily. That evening, as the restaurant quieted, Clara found herself reflecting on the complexities of the day. She thought about the fine line between gratitude and expectation, between charity and respect. Her phone buzzed a message from her brother. "Proud of you, Clara. You're changing things." She smiled, the weight of his words lifting some of the burden she carried. The following week brought a mix of challenges and triumphs. Clara continued to navigate the shifting dynamics at work, balancing newfound respect with lingering biases. She attended meetings with Arthur and his team, lending her voice to the design of the scholarship program. Each step forward was a reminder that change was possible, but it required patience and persistence. One afternoon, Clara stood by the riverbank, watching the water ripple under the afternoon sun. The same river where she had risked her life to save 2 boys now felt like a symbol of her own journey, sometimes turbulent, sometimes serene, but always moving forward. A young girl approached cautiously, clutching a book to her chest. "Are you Clara?" she asked shyly. Clara nodded, smiling warmly. "Yes, I am." "I just wanted to say thank you," the girl said, eyes shining. "You're my inspiration." In that moment, Clara felt the ripple of her actions extend far beyond the walls of the restaurant, reaching into lives she had yet to meet. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city, Clara knew her story was only beginning. There would be obstacles ahead, moments of doubt, confrontation, and struggle. But she was ready, because courage, she realized, wasn't just about heroic acts. It was about standing tall every day, choosing kindness over fear, and believing in the power of change. And that was a story worth telling. Days turned into weeks, and the ripples of Clara's heroic act continued to spread through the city, touching lives in ways she had never imagined. The scholarship initiative with Arthur Vance's backing had begun taking shape, and Clara found herself increasingly involved in planning meetings and community events, roles she never envisioned for herself. Still, the restaurant remained her anchor, the place where she grounded herself amid the growing attention. But the familiar walls of the waterfront grill no longer felt the same. Whispers followed her footsteps, and some customers approached her with a newfound respect, while others watched with guarded curiosity. One busy evening, Clara was balancing a tray stacked with glasses when a sharp voice cut through the din. "So, this is the hero waitress everyone's talking about?" It was a man seated at the bar, his tone dripping with skepticism. Clara paused, steadying herself. "That's me," she said quietly, offering a polite smile. The man smirked. "Don't let it get to your head. People like you get a spotlight now and then, but it doesn't last." The words stung, but Clara held her ground. "Maybe not," she replied evenly, "but the actions we take can." He scoffed, returning to his drink, leaving Clara to continue her work. But the encounter lingered in her thoughts. Later, during a quieter moment, she confided in her co-worker, Chloe. "Some people don't want to see me succeed," Clara admitted. Chloe nodded knowingly. "That's the world we live in, but you've already proven how strong you are." Clara smiled, grateful for the support. "Thanks, Chloe. I'm trying to keep my head down and focus." The next day, Clara attended a meeting with Arthur and several community leaders. The room buzzed with energy as they discussed ways to structure the scholarship and mentorship programs. Arthur looked over the proposals, then turned to Clara. "Your perspective is invaluable. You understand what this community needs better than any of us." Clara felt a swell of pride, but also responsibility. "I want this to be more than just money. It has to create real opportunity." The discussion continued late into the afternoon, and by the time Clara stepped outside, the sun was low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the city. As she walked along the river path, her thoughts drifted to Leo and Owen, the boys whose lives she had saved. She wondered how their lives would unfold, if her actions had truly made a difference in their world. Her phone buzzed again, a message from her mother, reminding her to take care of herself. Clara chuckled softly, typing back a quick reply. The following weekend, Clara found herself volunteering at a local community center, helping organize a youth event designed to inspire and empower children from underserved neighborhoods. As she handed out flyers, a group of children gathered around, their eyes wide with curiosity. "Are you the lady who saved the boys by the river?" a young boy asked eagerly. Clara nodded, kneeling down to their level. "Yes, I am. But you know anyone would have done the same?" The children exchanged glances, some nodding, others smiling. "You're our hero," a girl said softly. Clara felt a lump in her throat. "Thank you," she whispered. That evening, as she rested at home, Clara reflected on the strange twists her life had taken. From a quiet waitress to a community figure, she realized that courage wasn't just about daring rescues, but also about the daily choices to stand up, to speak out, and to uplift others. But she knew challenges lay ahead. Not everyone welcomed change, and the path toward justice and equality was fraught with obstacles. Still, Clara was determined, for her family, for the boys she saved, and for every person who deserved a chance to be seen and heard. She closed her eyes. The city lights twinkling beyond her window like distant stars, reminders that even in the darkest nights, hope could shine through. The following Monday morning arrived with a crispness in the air that hinted at the change of seasons. Clara woke to the gentle hum of the city stirring beneath her window, the familiar rhythm comforting, yet charged with new purpose. Today was different, not because of any grand event, but because Clara had come to realize that sometimes the most profound shifts begin quietly, with steady steps rather than sudden leaps. At the waterfront grill, the morning rush was in full swing. Servers moved briskly between tables, balancing trays laden with coffee cups and pastries. Clara slipped into her role seamlessly, her presence a calm anchor amid the controlled chaos. Yet beneath her composed exterior, she carried the weight of recent weeks, the accolades, the doubts, the growing expectations. As she approached a table near the window, a familiar face looked up with a warm smile. It was Chloe, her longtime co-worker and confidant. "Morning, Clara," Chloe greeted. Sliding into the seat across from the table, Clara was about to serve. Clara smiled back, feeling a brief moment of respite. "Morning, Chloe. How's the day looking?" "Busy as always," Chloe replied with a chuckle. "But I've got a feeling today's going to be a good one." Their conversation was interrupted as the restaurant manager, Mr. Clark, appeared nearby, his expressions serious yet approachable. "Clara," he called softly, motioning for her to come over. "I've got something to discuss with you." Curious, Clara followed him to a quieter corner of the dining area. Mr. Clark handed her an envelope, the corporate letterhead clearly visible on the front. "We received an invitation from the city council," he explained. "They want to recognize your heroism and your work with the community. There's going to be a ceremony next week." Clara's breath caught. Recognition on such a public scale was daunting. "I don't know what to say." "You deserve it," Mr. Clark assured her. "You've inspired more people than you realize." Later that day, Clara found herself walking along the river once more, the cool breeze brushing against her skin. The water sparkled under the afternoon sun, a constant reminder of the day she had risked everything. Her thoughts drifted to her family, the sacrifices her mother had made, the hopes she held for her brother, and the lessons they had all learned about resilience and dignity. Her phone buzzed, breaking her reverie. A message from Arthur Vance popped up. "Let's meet soon. I'd like to discuss further how we can expand the scholarship program." Clara smiled, feeling the unexpected partnership taking shape. Despite the rocky start, there was now a shared commitment to making a difference. That evening, as Clara prepared dinner for her family, the atmosphere in her small apartment was warm and filled with laughter. Her brother recounted stories from school, and her mother shared a quiet pride in her daughter's journey. But amid the comfort, Clara remained aware of the challenges ahead. Change was rarely smooth, and the path toward equity and justice demanded perseverance. The next few days brought a mixture of public attention and private reflection. Clara navigated interviews with local journalists, always emphasizing the importance of community and collective action over individual heroism. She attended meetings with educators, activists, and city officials, advocating for programs that would provide mentorship and resources to underprivileged youth. Through it all, Clara remained grounded by the support of those closest to her, her family, her friends, and even some unexpected allies among the restaurant staff. One afternoon, as she organized a workshop for young girls interested in leadership, a question from a bright-eyed teenager stopped her. "How do you stay strong when people doubt you?" the girl asked. Clara paused, considering the weight of the question. "Strength," she replied, "comes from knowing who you are and believing that your voice matters even when it feels like the world is against you." The girl nodded thoughtfully, a spark of determination lighting her eyes. That evening, Clara sat by her window, watching the city's lights flicker against the darkening sky. She thought about the journey so far, the fear and courage, the pain and hope. She knew the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but with each step, she was not alone. The story she was writing was not just her own. It belonged to every person who dared to stand up, to speak out, and to believe in the power of change. And as the stars emerged above the skyline, Clara felt a quiet certainty settle within her. This was only the beginning. The morning sun cast long shadows across the city as Clara stepped out of her apartment, the crisp air filling her lungs with a sense of renewal. Today was a day unlike any other, a day marked by promise. By the unspoken understanding that her life was unfolding along a path she had never dared to imagine, the waterfront grill buzzed with its usual energy. But beneath the surface, an undercurrent of change was palpable. Clara moved through the restaurant with quiet confidence, her every step measured but sure. The faces that greeted her carried expressions of respect and warmth, a stark contrast to the indifferent glances of weeks past. At the staff meeting that morning, Mr. Clark addressed the team with an unusual enthusiasm. "I want to recognize Clara for her bravery and the positive attention she has brought to our establishment," he announced. Applause filled the room, some hesitant, some wholehearted, but all genuine. Clara nodded modestly, her cheeks tinged with a soft pink, grateful but grounded. After the meeting, a visitor arrived, a local journalist who had been following Clara's story closely. She approached with a friendly smile and a notebook in hand. "Clara, would you be willing to share more about your journey? Your story is inspiring so many." Clara hesitated briefly before nodding. "I believe it's important to highlight the strength in community and the power of standing up for what's right." The interview flowed naturally, Clara's words painting a picture not just of heroism, but of resilience, hope, and the ongoing fight for justice. Later that afternoon, Clara met with Arthur Vance at a nearby cafe. The atmosphere between them had shifted from tense and uncertain to collaborative and respectful. Arthur listened intently as Clara spoke about the needs of her community, her vision for meaningful change. "I'm committed to supporting this," he said earnestly. "Together we can create opportunities that break cycles of poverty and inequality." Their discussion was interrupted by a phone call. Arthur excused himself briefly, leaving Clara alone with her thoughts. She sipped her coffee, reflecting on how far she had come from the riverbank rescue to this moment of partnership. Returning to work, Clara noticed a shift in the restaurant's clientele. Regular customers approached her with genuine smiles, some sharing stories of how her actions had inspired them. Yet, she was also aware of lingering undercurrents of skepticism and prejudice reminders that the journey towards acceptance was ongoing. That evening, As Clara prepared dinner for her family, her phone buzzed with messages of support from friends and neighbors. Each one was a testament to the ripple effect her courage had created. She sat by the window, watching the city lights dance across the skyline, feeling a profound sense of connection to the world beyond her small apartment. The following week brought new challenges and opportunities. Clara attended community forums, school visits, and fundraising events, always carrying with her the message of empowerment and hope. One afternoon, while speaking to a group of teenagers, she was asked about the source of her strength. Clara smiled thoughtfully. Strength isn't about never being afraid. It's about facing your fears and choosing to move forward anyway. The teens nodded, some whispering among themselves, others scribbling notes. As dusk settled, Clara returned home, the sounds of the city fading into a peaceful quiet. She thought about the future, about the lives she wanted to touch, the barriers she hoped to dismantle. Her journey was far from over, but with each day she was building a legacy far greater than herself, a legacy rooted in courage, compassion, and the unwavering belief that every voice matters. And as the stars shimmered overhead, Clara closed her eyes, ready to face whatever tomorrow would bring. The early morning light filtered softly through the curtains of Clara's modest apartment, casting a gentle glow over the worn furniture and faded photographs that told the story of her life. She sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee as the city slowly came alive outside her window. The events of the past weeks played like a vivid film in her mind. The rescue, the public attention, the unexpected partnership with Arthur Vance. It was overwhelming at times, yet beneath the whirlwind, a steady current of purpose kept her grounded. Today was special. Clara was scheduled to speak at a local community center's youth empowerment event, a gathering she had helped organize with the support of the scholarship program. It was an opportunity to reach young people who, like her, faced challenges but held dreams that deserved to be nurtured. At the waterfront grill, her co-workers greeted her with warm smiles and encouraging words. Chloe clasped her hand. "You're going to inspire a whole new generation today, Clara." Clara returned the smile, feeling the steady pulse of determination within her. "I hope so. It's not just about me. It's about all of us." The community center was buzzing with energy when Clara arrived. Teens from diverse backgrounds filled the room, their faces a mix of curiosity, hope, and guarded skepticism. Clara took the stage, her heart steady despite the gravity of the moment. She began by sharing her story, not just the dramatic rescue, but the everyday struggles that shaped her. She spoke of her mother's sacrifices, her brother's aspirations, and the relentless pursuit of dignity in a world that often overlooked people like them. Courage, Clara said, isn't just about grand gestures. It's about showing up every day, facing the challenges, and believing that your voice can make a difference. The room was silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Questions followed about perseverance, about handling doubt, about finding strength when the world feels heavy. Clara answered each with honesty, drawing from the well of her own experience. "You don't have to be perfect," she said. "You just have to be willing to try." After the event, a young girl approached, eyes shining. "Thank you, Clara. You made me believe I can do more." Clara knelt down, placing a hand gently on the girl's shoulder. "You already have the strength. Just remember to never give up." Back at the restaurant, Clara found herself reflecting on the growing responsibilities and expectations. The media continued to seek her story, and community leaders looked to her for guidance. Yet, amid the praise, Clara remained acutely aware of the subtle challenges, the lingering prejudices, the moments of doubt cast by those unwilling to change. One afternoon, as she was clearing tables, a group of regular patrons engaged in hushed conversation, some voicing discomfort at the shifting social dynamics. Clara overheard snippets complaints about too much attention and people changing too fast. It was a stark reminder that progress was never universally welcomed. Determined not to be deterred, Clara resolved to continue speaking out, to use her platform not for personal gain, but for the greater good. Her partnership with Arthur deepened, and together they navigated the complexities of launching the scholarship program. Meetings with educators, fundraising events, and community outreach became routine, each step forward a testament to resilience and collaboration. One evening, after a long day of planning, Arthur invited Clara to his office. The view from the high-rise overlooked the city skyline, a sea of light stretching into the horizon. "I want to thank you," he said sincerely, "for your courage, your honesty, and for reminding me why I must do better." Clara nodded, feeling the weight of his words. "It's about all of us. Change isn't easy, but it's necessary." Their conversation lingered on the themes of justice, equality, and the responsibility that came with privilege. As Clara left the building that night, the cool breeze carried a sense of hope and renewal. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, filled with obstacles both seen and unseen. But with each step, Clara reaffirmed her commitment to her family, to her community, and to the belief that even the smallest acts of courage could ripple outward, transforming lives in ways that mattered. And beneath the vast sky, illuminated by countless stars, she felt ready to face whatever came next. The city was settling into the quiet lull of early evening, when Clara found herself standing on the balcony of her apartment, the fading light casting a warm glow over the skyline. The hum of distant traffic and the occasional siren blended into a familiar soundtrack that had become the backdrop of her life. She breathed deeply, the cool air filling her lungs as she reflected on the journey that had brought her here, a path marked by courage, adversity, and unexpected alliances. Her phone buzzed, breaking the stillness. A message from Arthur Vance appeared. "Meeting tomorrow with the council. Your input is crucial," Clara smiled, appreciating the growing respect and partnership between them. It was a testament to how far both had come since that fraught day by the river. The following morning, Clara arrived at the City Hall, the imposing building a stark reminder of the systems she sought to influence. Inside, a group of officials, community leaders, and activists had gathered to discuss the framework for the new scholarship and mentorship program. Clara took her seat among them, feeling the weight of expectation, but also a profound sense of responsibility. Arthur greeted her warmly, his demeanor a mix of professionalism and genuine camaraderie. As the meeting commenced, Clara listened intently to the various proposals, weighing their merits and potential impact. When it was her turn to speak, she drew from her experiences and the voices of the community she represented. "This program has to be more than financial aid," she asserted. "It needs to provide mentorship, life skills, and real opportunities. We can't just hand out checks and expect change. We must invest in people, build their confidence, and open doors that have long been shut." Nods of agreement rippled through the room, though some faces remained skeptical, cautious of change and the challenges it might bring. Throughout the discussions, Clara maintained a steady presence, advocating passionately for inclusivity and long-term support. Her voice carried the weight of lived experience, grounding abstract policy in the realities faced by so many. After hours of deliberation, a consensus began to emerge, a program designed not only to fund education, but to create a network of support that empowered young people to thrive. As the meeting adjourned, Arthur approached Clara with a smile. "You were incredible today. Your insight made all the difference." Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you, Arthur. This is about giving back and breaking cycles. I'm just glad to be part of it. Back at the waterfront grill, word of the meeting's progress spread quickly. Clara's colleagues gathered around, their faces reflecting pride and newfound respect. Some offered congratulations. Others asked questions about the program and how they could help. That evening, Clara sat with Chloe during their break, the hum of the restaurant providing a quiet backdrop to their conversation. "It's amazing to see how far you've come," Chloe said, her eyes bright. "You're not just a waitress anymore, you're a leader," Clara chuckled softly. "I still am a waitress, but maybe I'm becoming something more." Their laughter was interrupted by the arrival of a young woman who approached Clara with hesitance. "Excuse me," the woman began. "I saw the news about you. You saved my cousin last year during a flood. I never got a chance to thank you." "0." Clara's eyes widened in surprise and gratitude. "Thank you. That means more than you know." The woman smiled warmly. "You're a beacon of hope. People like you change lives." As the night wore on, Clara found herself reflecting on the ripple effect of kindness and bravery. The small acts of courage, often unseen, had the power to ignite hope and inspire change far beyond a single moment. At home, Clara sat by the window once more. The city lights twinkling like stars scattered across the earth. Her mind wandered to the children she had met at the community center, the families she hoped to uplift, and the future she was helping to shape. She knew challenges lay ahead, resistance from those clinging to old ways, the burden of expectations, and the personal sacrifices that came with, yet beneath it all, a quiet strength blossomed within her, a conviction that true change was possible when people dared to stand together. And as the night deepened, Clara allowed herself a moment of peace, ready to face whatever the dawn would bring, armed with hope, resilience, and the unyielding belief in the power of compassion. The days following the city council meeting were a whirlwind of activity for Clara. Each morning she woke with a mix of anticipation and fatigue, the weight of responsibility settling firmly on her shoulders. Yet, despite the demands, she remained resolute. There was too much at stake for her to falter now. At the waterfront grill, the atmosphere had shifted again. Clara noticed that some customers treated her with an unmistakable reverence, while others regarded her with suspicion or discomfort. She had become a symbol not just of a heroic act, but of a larger movement for change. The realization was both empowering and daunting. One afternoon, as she served a table near the window, a well-dressed man in his 50s caught her attention. His eyes were sharp, assessing, but there was a flicker of recognition. He introduced himself as Grant Holloway, a local philanthropist interested in supporting the scholarship program. "I've heard about your efforts," Grant said, extending his hand. "I'd like to contribute and help expand the initiative." Clara shook his hand, grateful for the support but cautious. "Thank you, Mr. Holloway. We want to make sure the program truly benefits the community, not just in funds but in lasting impact." Grant nodded, "Absolutely. I believe in investing in people, in building futures." Their conversation sparked a series of meetings and brainstorming sessions, each one deepening Clara's understanding of the complexities involved in social change, fundraising, community outreach, mentorship programs. There was much to be done, and the stakes were high. Meanwhile, Clara's relationship with Arthur Vance continued to evolve. Their partnership was no longer defined by the circumstances of the rescue, but by a shared vision for progress. They met regularly to strategize, each bringing unique perspectives to the table. One evening, as they reviewed proposals in Arthur's office, Clara voiced a concern that had been growing. "Sometimes I worry that the very people we're trying to help might feel overwhelmed or excluded by the process," she said thoughtfully. "We need to ensure the program is accessible and inclusive." Arthur listened intently. "You're right. change must be rooted in the community's needs, not imposed from above. Together they decided to involve local leaders, educators, and families in shaping the program, fostering a sense of ownership and empowerment. Back at the restaurant, Clara found solace in the familiar routine, even as her world expanded. One evening, Chloe approached her with a thoughtful expression. "Have you thought about what you want next?" Chloe asked. "This journey you're on, it's just the beginning, isn't it?" Clara smiled wistfully. "I'm not sure yet, but I know I want to keep fighting, to keep raising voices that have been ignored for too long." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Leo and Owen, the twins whose rescue had set so much in motion. They were accompanied by their mother this time, a quiet woman whose gratitude toward Clara was evident in her eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, reaching out to squeeze Clara's hand. "You saved my boys. You've given us a second chance." Clara nodded, touched. They were brave, too. It was a team effort. As the weeks passed, Clara's story continued to resonate across the city. She received letters from young people inspired by her courage, invitations to speak at schools and events, and offers of collaboration from organizations committed to social justice. Yet, amid the acclaim, Clara remained vigilant. She understood that true change required more than words and applause. It demanded sustained effort, humility, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. One evening, as she sat alone in her apartment, Clara opened a worn journal, a habit from her youth. She began to write, pouring her thoughts onto the pages, hopes, fears, and dreams for the future. Her pen moved steadily, capturing the essence of her journey, a story of resilience, compassion, and the enduring power of the human spirit. As she closed the journal, Clara felt a deep sense of peace. The path ahead was uncertain, but she was ready to walk it, step by determined step. Outside, the city lights shimmered against the night sky, a mosaic of possibility and promise. And within Clara, a quiet flame burned bright a beacon for all who dared to believe in a better tomorrow. The crisp autumn breeze carried with it the scents of the city, damp leaves, distant coffee, and the faint hum of early morning traffic as Clara stepped out onto the bustling streets. The weight of recent months settled in her chest, a blend of pride, exhaustion, and an unwavering determination that had become her constant companion. At the waterfront grill, the familiar rhythm of orders and clinking dishes provided a backdrop to her thoughts. The restaurant was busier than ever, its reputation buoyed by Clara's story and the growing momentum of the scholarship program. Yet, amidst the applause and accolades, Clara remained mindful of the subtle tensions threading through the atmosphere. She exchanged a brief, knowing glance with Chloe as they navigated the crowded dining room. The support was there, but so too were the whispers questions about whether Clara's newfound prominence might overshadow others or disrupt the delicate balance of their workplace. One afternoon, as Clara wiped down a table near the window, a man in a sharp suit approached. His presence was commanding, and his eyes held a mix of curiosity and scrutiny. "Miss Evans?" He began, extending a hand. "I'm Isaac Shaw, director of a non-profit focused on youth development. I've been following your work and would like to discuss potential collaboration." Clara shook his hand, intrigued but cautious. "Thank you, Mr. Shaw. I'm always open to partnerships that align with our mission." Their conversation sparked a series of meetings exploring ways to expand the program's reach, integrating resources and expertise to better serve the community. Meanwhile, Clara continued her collaboration with Arthur Vance, their professional relationship deepening into one of mutual respect and shared vision. They tackled challenges together, budget constraints, bureaucratic hurdles, and occasional resistance from those wary of change. One evening, after a particularly intense meeting, Arthur turned to Clara with a thoughtful expression. "You've brought a clarity and passion that's been invaluable," he said. "It's changed the way I see this city and its people." Clara smiled, humbled. "I'm just glad to have the chance to make a difference." As the months progressed, Clara found herself balancing the demands of advocacy, public speaking, and her job at the restaurant. The duality of her life was both exhilarating and exhausting. One night, after closing the restaurant, Clara sat alone at a small cafe, nursing a cup of tea. The weight of expectation pressed heavily, and she allowed herself a rare moment of vulnerability. Her phone buzzed a message from her mother. "Remember to take care of yourself, baby. We need you strong." The words grounded her, reminding her of the roots that sustained her courage. The next day, Clara was invited to speak at a citywide forum on racial equity and education. Standing before a diverse audience, she shared her journey, the struggles and triumphs, the lessons learned, and the ongoing fight for justice. Her voice was steady, filled with conviction. Change doesn't come easy. It demands persistence, empathy, and the courage to challenge the status quo. The crowd responded with applause. Some faces moved to tears, others nodding in solemn agreement. Backstage, Clara was approached by several young people eager to share their stories and dreams. Their words fueled her resolve, a reminder of why her work mattered. That evening, as she walked home beneath a canopy of stars, Clara reflected on the tapestry of her life, woven with threads of struggle, hope, and unyielding spirit. She knew the path ahead would be fraught with obstacles, but also rich with possibility. And as the city's lights twinkled like distant promises, Clara felt ready to continue her journey undaunted, determined, and deeply committed to the vision of a more just and compassionate world. The morning air was thick with the scent of rain as Clara stepped out onto the slick city streets, her footsteps echoing softly against the pavement. The sky hung low and gray, mirroring the weight she felt in her chest. The momentum of the past months, the accolades, the meetings, the growing community support had brought her to a new height. But with it came pressures she hadn't fully anticipated. At the waterfront grill, the usual clamor of lunchtime chatter filled the air. Clara moved among the tables with practiced ease, but today there was a subtle undercurrent of tension. Some patrons lingered longer, their eyes searching, as if weighing her presence, while others avoided her gaze altogether. As she refilled a water glass, Chloe approached, her expression somber. "Clara, there's something you should know," she said quietly. "There's been some backlash online and in the neighborhood. Not everyone's happy with the attention you're getting." Clara nodded slowly, a familiar sting settling in. "I expected that," she replied. "Change always has its critics." Chloe hesitated, then added, "Some people are even questioning the legitimacy of the scholarship program, trying to discredit it." The news wasn't surprising, but it was disheartening. Clara had always known that progress was a battle, fought not only in boardrooms and community centers, but also in hearts and minds. Later that afternoon, Clara sat in a meeting with Arthur and several community leaders. The topic was the increasing scrutiny and skepticism surrounding their efforts. Arthur sighed, rubbing his temples. "We need a strategy to address this head-on. Silence isn't an option." Clara leaned forward. "Transparency and community engagement are key. We need to listen to concerns, address misinformation, and demonstrate our commitment through action." The group agreed to host a series of open forums, inviting the public to ask questions, voice concerns, and participate in shaping the program's future. Over the next few weeks, Clara found herself at the center of these forums, fielding tough questions and navigating heated debates. The experience tested her patience and resilience, but also deepened her resolve. One evening, after a particularly challenging session, Clara returned home drained but determined. She found solace in a phone call with her mother, whose steady voice offered comfort and encouragement. "You're doing important work, Clara. Don't let the noise drown out your purpose." The words resonated deeply, reminding Clara why she had begun this journey. At the restaurant, support came in unexpected ways. A longtime customer approached her with a warm smile and a handshake. "Keep fighting, Clara. The world needs more people like you." Such moments of encouragement fueled her through the tough days. Meanwhile, Arthur ramped up efforts to secure additional funding and partnerships, recognizing that the challenges they faced required sustained resources and alliances. In the quiet moments between the chaos, Clara returned to her journal, pouring out frustrations, hopes, and reflections. Writing became a refuge, a way to process the complexities of leadership and advocacy. As autumn gave way to winter, the city's streets glistened with frost, and Clara prepared for the inaugural Scholarship Award ceremony. It was a milestone, a celebration of dreams realized, and a beacon for the future. Standing before an audience filled with hopeful young faces, proud families, and community supporters, Clara spoke with heartfelt conviction. This is more than a program. It's a promise to our youth, to our community, and to ourselves that every voice matters, every dream is worth pursuing, and together we can build a brighter tomorrow. Applause filled the room, a testament to the power of perseverance and collective hope. That night, as Clara looked out over the snow-dusted city from her apartment window, she felt a profound sense of gratitude and possibility. The path had been arduous, but the journey was far from over. With each challenge faced and each life touched, Clara's story continued a story of courage, compassion, and the enduring belief in the transformative power of community. The cold wind swept through the streets as Clara made her way to the community center, the weight of anticipation pressing down on her. Today marked the official launch of the expanded scholarship and mentorship program, a culmination of months of tireless work, countless meetings, and unyielding determination. The event was more than a ceremony. It was a declaration of hope, resilience, and the power of collective action. Inside the packed auditorium, faces glowed with excitement and expectation. Young people from diverse backgrounds filled the seats, their eyes bright with dreams waiting to be realized. Families, educators, and community leaders gathered in support. Their presence, a testament to the program's far-reaching impact. Clara stood backstage, her heart pounding with a mixture of nerves and pride. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of the journey that had brought her here from the moment she had leapt into the river to save two frightened boys, to this moment of promise and possibility. The applause that greeted her as she stepped onto the stage was thunderous. Clara smiled warmly, her voice steady as she addressed the crowd. "This program is about more than scholarships," she began. "It's about creating pathways for success, breaking cycles of inequality, and empowering the next generation to reach their fullest potential." She spoke of courage, not just her own, but the courage of every young person who dared to dream despite obstacles. She acknowledged the challenges ahead, the resistance they had faced, and the work still to be done. But above all, Clara conveyed a message of unity and hope. After her speech, Clara watched as the first recipients were called to the stage, bright-eyed teens clutching certificates, their families beaming with pride. The energy in the room was palpable, a mix of celebration and determination. Later, as the event wound down, Clara found herself in conversation with several young attendees. Their stories were varied, tales of struggle, perseverance, and unshakable hope. One young woman, barely 18, shared her dream of becoming a teacher, inspired by Clara's example. "You showed me that no matter where you come from, you can make a difference," she said softly. Clara felt a lump in her throat. And you will. Keep believing in yourself. Outside, the night air was crisp and invigorating. Clara walked home slowly, the city lights shimmering like distant stars. She thought about the faces she had seen, the lives she hoped to touch, and the legacy she was helping to build. At home, Clara sat by the window, the quiet hum of the city a comforting presence. She reflected on the challenges she had faced, the doubts, the criticisms, the moments of fear, and the victories that made it all worthwhile. Her phone buzzed with a message from Arthur Vance. "Congratulations, Clara. Today was a testament to your strength and vision." She typed a quick reply. "Thank you, Arthur. Couldn't have done it without you." As sleep claimed her, Clara dreamed of futures bright with possibility of communities transformed, of voices raised in unison, and of a world inching closer to justice. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight she allowed herself to savor the triumph of courage, compassion, and the enduring power of hope. The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the waterfront grill, casting warm patterns across the polished wooden floor. Clara arrived early, her footsteps soft against the familiar tiles. The restaurant quieter now than in the bustling hours to come. The events of the previous night's ceremony still resonated within her, a mixture of exhaustion, exhilaration, and an unshakable sense of purpose. As she moved through the empty dining room, Clara reflected on the faces she had seen, the eager recipients of the scholarships, their proud families, the community leaders who had come together to celebrate a shared vision. It was a milestone, yes, but also a reminder of the work still to be done. Her thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of Chloe, her colleague and friend. Chloe's eyes sparkled with excitement as she approached. "Clara, that was incredible last night. Everyone's talking about you and the program. You're making a real difference." Clara smiled, feeling the warmth of genuine support. "Thanks, Chloe. It feels like the beginning of something bigger." Their conversation was cut short as the first customers began to trickle in. The day unfolded in a familiar rhythm, taking orders, delivering plates, and weaving through the ebb and flow of patrons. Yet, beneath the surface, Clara sensed a shift. The respect she commanded was palpable, but so was the undercurrent of expectations. During a lull, Mr. Clark approached with a folder in hand. "Clara, the board has reviewed the latest reports on the scholarship program," he said. "They're impressed but want to see sustained impact. There's talk of expanding the initiative citywide." Clara nodded thoughtfully. "That's encouraging. But it also means we need to ensure the program is scalable and truly effective." Later, Arthur Vance arrived, his presence a steadying force. He greeted Clara warmly before pulling her aside. "We're on the cusp of something transformative," he said, "but it will require careful planning and continued collaboration." Their partnership had matured into a genuine alliance, one grounded in shared goals and mutual respect. The afternoon brought an unexpected visitor, a young woman with determined eyes who introduced herself as a local journalist interested in Clara's story and the program's progress. Clara agreed to an interview, mindful of the platform it provided to highlight the importance of community-driven change. As the conversation unfolded, Clara spoke candidly about the challenges and triumphs, emphasizing the collective effort behind the initiative. "Change isn't the work of one person," she said. "It's a movement fueled by many voices, many hands." That evening, as Clara closed the restaurant, she found a moment of quiet reflection. She sat on the stoop outside, the city's heartbeat echoing around her. Her phone buzzed a message from her mother. "So proud of you, Clara. Keep shining your light." A smile touched Clara's lips. The journey was far from over, but with each step she was paving the way for others to follow. The night sky stretched vast and endless above her, a canvas of possibility. And Clara, grounded yet soaring, was ready to continue writing her story, one of courage, compassion, and unwavering hope. The dawn broke softly over the city, painting the skyline in shades of amber and rose. Clara stood by her apartment window, watching the city come alive with the rhythm of morning routines. The quiet moments before the day's chaos were precious, a brief chance to gather strength and focus on the work ahead. Today marked another significant chapter in the journey she had embarked upon months ago. The scholarship program was gaining traction, but Clara knew the true test lay not in the accolades or the initial enthusiasm, but in the sustained impact and real transformation within the community. Arriving at the waterfront grill, Clara was greeted by familiar faces, some eager to share news, others simply offering quiet encouragement. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of purpose, as if everyone sensed the unfolding possibilities. During her morning rounds, Clara noticed a group of young recipients of the scholarship gathered near the entrance, their faces bright with hope and determination. She approached them with a smile. "How are you all doing?" she asked warmly. One of the teens, a girl named Alicia, spoke up. "We're ready to make the most of this opportunity thanks to you." Clara felt a surge of pride and humility. Remember, this is just the beginning. Stay focused. Stay resilient. The day unfolded with meetings, planning sessions, and outreach efforts. Clara and Arthur Vance convened with educators and community organizers to assess the program's progress and strategize next steps. Arthur turned to Clara during a break. "Your leadership has been instrumental. The community trusts you." Clara smiled, though the weight of responsibility was ever present. "It's a collective effort. I'm just one part." Later, Clara received an invitation to speak at a statewide conference on educational equity. The opportunity was both thrilling and daunting, a platform to amplify the voices of those often unheard. As she prepared her remarks, Clara reflected on the journey, the rescue that had sparked a movement, the partnerships forged, and the lives touched. Her speech was delivered with heartfelt sincerity, weaving personal narrative with a call to action. She emphasized the importance of community-driven solutions and the necessity of dismantling systemic barriers. The audience responded with standing ovations and heartfelt conversations, many approaching her afterward to share their own stories and aspirations. Returning home late that evening, Clara found solace in a quiet phone call with her mother. Their conversation was a balm, a reminder of the roots that nourished her strength. "You're changing lives, Clara. Don't forget to care for yourself, too." The words resonated deeply, grounding her in the midst of relentless demands. As the city slept beneath a canopy of stars, Clara allowed herself a moment of reflection and gratitude. The road ahead was long and fraught with challenges, but her resolve was unshaken. She knew that the true measure of her journey would be the lives transformed, the barriers broken, and the hope ignited in hearts across the community. With a deep breath, Clara embraced the night's stillness, ready to face whatever dawn would bring with courage, compassion, and an unwavering belief in the power of change. The soft glow of dawn seeped into Clara's apartment, casting a gentle light over the scattered notes and papers that lay across her kitchen table. Today was a day heavy with significance, not for any public event or announcement, but because it marked the quiet turning point of a journey that had already changed so many lives. Clara sat with a cup of steaming tea, her mind swirling with reflections on the months behind her. The scholarship program was blossoming, the community was rallying, and yet the true measure of success lay not in numbers or headlines, but in the stories of growth, hope, and transformation unfolding quietly in homes and schools. At the waterfront grill, the morning unfolded with its familiar cadence. Clara moved through the restaurant, her presence a steadying force amid the hum of preparation. Patrons greeted her with warmth, some sharing news of their own small victories and milestones that echoed the larger movement she had helped ignite. During a brief lull, Chloe approached with a knowing smile. "You've come so far, Clara. It's inspiring." Clara smiled, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and determination. "It's just the beginning. There's still so much to do." That afternoon, Clara met with a group of scholarship recipients and their families at a community center. The room buzzed with energy and anticipation as young people shared their aspirations, their fears, and the obstacles they faced. One teenager, Marcus, spoke candidly about the challenges of balancing school with family responsibilities. "This scholarship isn't just money, it's a lifeline. It means someone believes in me." Clara nodded, moved by his honesty. "That belief is the foundation. We're here to support you every step of the way." The conversation deepened, touching on themes of resilience, identity, and the power of community. Clara listened intently, offering encouragement and practical guidance. Later, as she walked home beneath a canopy of stars, Clara reflected on the delicate balance of leadership, the need to be both visionary and grounded, to inspire while remaining approachable. Her phone buzzed with a message from Arthur Vance. "Looking forward to our next meeting. Together we're building something lasting." She replied quickly, "Yes, together." In the days that followed, Clara found herself increasingly engaged in advocacy, speaking at schools, attending forums, and meeting with policymakers. Each interaction deepened her understanding of the systemic barriers that persisted and the multifaceted strategies required to overcome them. Yet, amidst the progress, Clara faced moments of doubt and exhaustion. The weight of expectations, the persistent undercurrents of skepticism, and the sheer magnitude of the challenges sometimes threatened to overwhelm her. In those moments, she turned to the quiet strength of her family, the steady love of her mother, the hopeful energy of her brother, and the enduring support of friends like Chloe. One evening, after a long day, Clara sat alone on her balcony, the city lights twinkling below. She allowed herself to breathe, to feel the enormity of her journey without the pressure to have all the answers. In that stillness, she reaffirmed her commitment to the youth she served, to the community that believed in her, and to the vision of a more just and compassionate world. As the night deepened, Clara closed her eyes, embracing the quiet power of hope, resilience, and the unwavering belief that change, no matter how daunting, was possible when fueled by courage and compassion. The soft hum of early morning traffic drifted up to Clara's apartment as she sat at her kitchen table. A journal opened before her, and a pen poised between her fingers. The past months had been a whirlwind, a mosaic of challenges, triumphs, and lessons learned. Today, she sought a moment of quiet reflection to capture the swirling thoughts that had accompanied her on this journey. Her pen moved steadily, weaving words of hope, courage, and resilience onto the pages. She wrote of the faces she had seen, the bright eyes of scholarship recipients, the proud smiles of their families, the steadfast determination of community leaders. Each story was a thread in the tapestry of chains she was helping to weave. At the waterfront grill, the day unfolded with a comforting rhythm. Clara greeted familiar faces, their warmth a balm against the fatigue that sometimes threatened to weigh her down. Yet, beneath the surface, she felt the steady pulse of progress, a movement gathering strength and momentum. During a break, Chloe approached with a thoughtful look. "Clara, have you ever thought about what comes next?" Beyond the program, beyond the speeches, Clara considered the question, her gaze distant. I have. Change isn't a destination. It's a continuous journey. I want to keep pushing boundaries, to keep opening doors. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a group of young women from the mentorship program. Their energy was infectious, their stories a testament to the power of connection and support. One of them, a poised teenager named Naomi, shared her dreams of becoming a lawyer, inspired by Clara's advocacy. "You've shown me that our voices matter," Naomi said, "that we can shape our futures." Clara smiled, heart swelling with pride. "And you will. Keep believing in yourself." Later that afternoon, Clara met with Arthur Vance and several partners to discuss the expansion of the scholarship program into neighboring cities. The discussions were strategic, focused on sustainability and inclusivity. Arthur turned to Clara, his expression sincere. "Your vision has transformed this initiative. I'm honored to be part of it." Clara nodded, humbled. "It's a collective effort. Together we can create lasting change." That evening, Clara attended a community gathering, a space where voices from all walks of life came together to share stories, challenges, and aspirations. She listened as residents spoke passionately about their hopes for the future and the barriers they faced. Moved by their stories, Clara spoke from the heart. Change begins with us, all of us working together to build bridges, to break down walls, and to lift each other up. Ah, the room erupted in applause, a chorus of agreement and solidarity. Walking home beneath a sky dotted with stars, Clara felt the weight of the journey, yet also the lightness of purpose. The path was far from easy, but it was hers to walk, fueled by the strength of community and the unyielding belief in a better tomorrow. Back in her apartment, Clara penned a final note in her journal. "This is not the end, but a new beginning. With courage and compassion we rise." Ah. She closed the book, a quiet smile gracing her lips, ready to face whatever dawn would bring. The city skyline was bathed in the soft hues of twilight as Clara stood on the rooftop of her apartment building, the cool breeze ruffling her hair. Below, the streets pulsed with life, the laughter of children, the distant chatter of neighbors, the steady hum of cars weaving through familiar routes. It was a symphony of everyday resilience, a testament to the spirit of a community she had come to love deeply. Tonight marked the culmination of a journey that had transformed not only her own life, but the lives of countless others. The scholarship program she had championed was thriving, its reach extending beyond the city limits, touching hearts and opening doors. But Clara knew that true change wasn't measured by awards or applause. It was in the quiet moments of growth, in the spark of hope kindled in a young person's eyes. As she gazed out, memories washed over her the river where she had first seized her chance to make a difference, the faces of the twins whose lives she had saved, the community that had embraced her vision. Each step along the way had been marked by courage, doubt, perseverance, and unwavering faith. Her phone vibrated softly in her pocket. A message from her mother. "Proud of the woman you've become. Keep shining." Clara smiled, warmth flooding her heart. Turning back toward the railing, Clara felt a profound sense of gratitude. The path had not been easy. There were battles fought in courtrooms and classrooms, in boardrooms and backyards. There were moments of isolation and moments of triumph. But through it all, the thread of compassion had woven everything together. Her thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of Chloe, who joined her quietly, offering a comforting presence. "You've changed so much, Clara," Chloe said softly. "Not just the city, but all of us." Clara nodded, eyes glistening. "It's not just me. It's all of us, rising together." They stood side by side, the city stretching out before them a canvas of possibility and promise. As night deepened, Clara reflected on the legacy she wished to leave, not one of fame or fortune, but of empowerment and justice. She thought of the generations to come, the voices yet to be heard, the dreams waiting to be realized. With a steady breath, Clara embraced the moment, a culmination and a beginning. The story she had written was far from over. It was a living testament to the power of one person's courage to ignite a movement, to transform lives, and to inspire a community to believe in a better tomorrow. And as the stars shimmered overhead, Clara's heart swelled with hope and determination. For in the dance of light and shadow, in the enduring spirit of humanity, she knew that change was not just possible, it was inevitable. The city's heartbeat echoed in her soul, a reminder that every step forward was a victory, every act of kindness a revolution. And Clara, standing tall against the night, was ready to continue the journey undaunted, unyielding, and forever guided by the light of compassion. Clara's story teaches us that true courage is about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. It shows the power of kindness and resilience to overcome prejudice and inspire change. The journey reminds us that lasting progress comes from persistence, community support, and believing in the potential of every person. Ultimately, compassion and unity can transform lives and build a better, fairer world.